Sticking with our top story, Jeremy Hunt facing calls from his own party to cut stamp duty as part of a budget announcement to help restart, if you like, the whole buying of a house and get that younger generation on the property ladder.
Well, pressure mounts as some MPs argue that reducing stamp duty will free up homes by encouraging downsizing. Older people with large homes often cite the charge as a reason that they are dissuaded from moving into a smaller home. Well, we're joined now by Sally Mitchell from the Mortgage Mum. Sally, what are homeowners looking for in this budget?
Some help, quite simply. I feel that unless something is pulled out of the hat today, they are going to feel very forgotten. Homeowners, mortgage holders have really had a very, very difficult time. Every time I look at a remortgage at the moment, even with the rates coming down slightly, those homeowners are looking at an increase of approximately £300-400 a month. Now, on top of everything else, all the other increased costs, that's really, really hard to take. And for newer homeowners or potential homeowners, just to get on the property ladder is proving incredibly difficult, more difficult than ever.
Sally, great to have you on. I agree. We get into a whole debate. We need to build more houses. We need to make it easier for people to get on the property ladder. The business, not your business, but the business of mortgages for so many years, people were being... Well, they were able to borrow too much, and then there was negative equity, and that caused a problem. And the offshoot of that as well, we've talked about it. Rents are ridiculous. Many people can't even rent a property without being gazumped. Many people are being evicted by landlords. There don't seem to be rules. And I think the whole property debate really is one that does need considering. But again, we're sitting here this morning doing this show about the budget, and so much of it seems to be short-termism, really, and I think for the housing market and the property industry to be moving in the right direction, they need to look long term, not just something that might buy some votes. But I would think stamp duty would be really essential.
Yeah, I think that all the regulations need to be looked at. We need an independent review of how everything is decided and organised. It's quite archaic, really, when you consider now that the average house price is 8 times someone's average income.
Yeah.
Now, that's ridiculous. Most lenders will only loan up to 4.5 times their salary, applicant's salary. So you've got to make up the difference in deposit. And the average first-time buyer deposit at the moment is £58,000. Now, as you said, Jeremy, if you're renting, how can you save that? Rents are increasing all the time. It's almost impossible for people to get started.
I mean, to save, Nick, 58, that's impossible. You lived on a boat because of this, didn't you? Genuinely.
I did, yeah. Sally, I lived for 5 years on a canal boat because I couldn't afford rent in London. And I did actually love it as well. But, it's we didn't have any proper heating. So, yeah, it's not a great situation. But there have been rumours today that the Chancellor will announce 99% mortgages. Is that positive news for the younger generation, or do you think that's going to have a negative knock-on effect in future?
I am very wary about it because, as you mentioned earlier, negative equity. I remember the bad old days when people did have negative equity, and it causes the housing market to maybe not crash, but certainly take a decidedly downward turn, and that's not good for anybody. With the housing and property, we need to look at it as a cycle. It all feeds in. It's a process. So the first time buyers come in and bring new blood, that enables other people to move and to change. And then that allows the older generation also to potentially downsize, and it frees up housing stock. We have we are so low on housing stock. We're not building enough. I know it might look when you drive around that there's loads of housing and developments being built, but we're 100,000 houses light every year.
And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because it's easy to sit here and say one thing or the other. For me, it's about balance. For me, it's about you're right. In years gone by, you could borrow whatever, and it wasn't paid back. It caused massive problems. I mean, if a house price is 8 times the salary and mortgage companies are doing 4.5, there has to be some meeting in the middle. But I'll bring you to the housing thing. We've said this every week. People are really good at pontificating. I'm not talking about you, Sally, MPs. when it comes to their constituency and their constituents, we all jump up and down and go, yes, yes, more houses. Don't want it in your constituency. Don't want it in your road. Don't want it in your lane. Don't want it. And that's true. We definitely need to build more houses, but they don't get built because all the people that pontificate.
Not in my backyard.
It's absolutely not in my backyard. I think it's a really interesting time, though, for first-time buyers. I hope he does something with stamp duty. Just to finish, do you think he will?
I think if he was going to, we might have had a little leak already. I'm underwhelmed by what's been leaked so far, I have to say.
Yeah.
And if this is the budget to win the vote, the last budget before the election, really? Maybe there's a rabbit in that hat, but... It better be a
Labour,
nice
a Conservative MP yesterday said the rabbit's dead. There's no rabbit. But I actually do believe that they will have floated certain things and there could be things that they haven't, things that they know maybe would buy some favour, but I'm not sure.
And it would seem foolish of them to not appeal to that younger age bracket.
Yes.
Under 35s at the moment. The Tories are polling at single figures.
That's the electorate they need. That's where they're failing, particularly.
And the electorate that they particularly let down because, it's unaffordable to buy a house even at the age of 35.
I wouldn't give them the vote under 35, Sally. I think they're too damn young. Thank you very much indeed for coming on. We really, really appreciate it. Sally Mitchell from Mortgage Mum. And still to come, Miss T.
Did you forget my name then?